Hey, good morning. Thank you for your patience. We had some technical difficulties here. My name is Damon Brown of DamonBrown.net. My main thing is helping you as a side hustler, a solopreneur, or otherwise a non-traditional entrepreneur. You're watching the Bring Your Worth show based on my imprint, my independent book imprint, and my last book from 2 years ago, Bring Your Worth, Love Up Your Creative Power, Value, and Service to the World. The discussion is about, I'm coming to you every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and talking to you about how you can build from now, which is the name of my new book. It mirrors everything. So I'm totally backwards right now. There it is. Build from now, how to know your power, see your abundance, and nourish the world. And the discussion is about how you can build based on where you are right now. I am the primary caregiver of our two sons, myself and my wife's. And that was the case when I became a startup founder twice over several years ago when our eldest son was a baby. And so understanding that journey, respecting that you might not have the resources that you want right now, but you can still make an impact in the world. My first major book on the business book realm was Ultimate Bite-Sized Entrepreneur. Y'all made it a bestseller. And the basic argument is to say that you can do a lot of things if you take them in bite-sized portions. So that's the energy of the show. Long-winded, but that's the energy of today. And so if you're interested in the show, you can subscribe here for free at youtube.com/BrownDamon. Again, it's free. It comes every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 11:30-ish a.m. Pacific Standard Time, so Las Vegas time. I'm always live and direct to you on Wednesdays, and then Mondays and Fridays, I have a shorter show that will give you some info and some tidbits and instinctive insights that I'll get to in a moment. My allergies are bothering me, so I'm drinking some tea and my brain is a mess right now. So hopefully I can give some good info to y'all. But the important thing, which we're going to talk about today, is that you always should show up, no matter how you feel, no matter what's going on. Consistency is key. I've been coming to y'all. Man, I started the show in mid-December, like officially, and I was doing it every single day until like February, around the time that my latest book, Build From Now, came out. And then I slowed it down to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. But I'm here with y'all, 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I think we just hit, man, if you check out the episodes on there for the Bring Your Worth show, I think we're at like 112, 115 episodes. So I've only been doing this for a half a year. So I'm really trying to show up for y'all. But the important thing is to show up, which is the topic of today: how to become a professional artist or a pro artist. That's what YouTube likes to say, so I'm gonna throw it in there. And shout out to the people that are watching on Amazon. A pro artist is someone who shows up no matter what. Not someone who necessarily gets paid a lot of money. We're not talking about money. Like if there's an exchange, if there's a transaction, cool, then you might be a professional. Professional is someone who shows up even when they have allergies right now. People that show up even when they're not in the mood to do, I do a lot of public speaking, even when they're not in the mood to do public speaking, even if they're not in that space to be social right now, they will still connect with other people, right? That's one of the reasons why in the image you see Bob Ross, shout out to him, rest in peace. He was someone who I admired a lot. The artist, I admired him a lot when I was growing up, when I was my eldest son's age, when I was in elementary school, because he would always show up. And he represents, when he was alive, he represents and still represents, if he catches legacy stuff online, I'm sure now, but I used to watch him on PBS when I was a kid. He always showed up no matter what. That's what being professional is. And so we're going to talk about a handful of books that will help you show up consistently. Because a lot of people, I do a lot of coaching. You can check me out at DamonBrown.net. And I'll show you the link in a second. But I do a lot of one-on-one coaching. I've coached hundreds of people at this point, a lot of creatives, again, non-traditional entrepreneurs. And people are like, well, how can I get paid to do my art? And that's really the wrong question. The real question is, how can I show up consistently and create consistent work? Because if you show up consistently and then you do consistent work, you're going to get paid. That takes care of itself. I'm proof of concept of that. I've been doing full-time freelance. That means independent work for, it's my 21st year. Which is crazy. I started in the year 2000 around Labor Day. So I'm going on my 21st year. If I had a kid at that time, they'd be able to drink with me, which is amazing, right? So you have this legacy that you end up creating that begins when you decide to become a pro. And I've done 7 books, and I'll be doing more stuff over the last 5 years. And it's been a consistent discussion. I'm showing up for y'all every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, no matter what. And that's a consistent thing. That's what it means to be a professional. Again, not putting myself on a pedestal, just giving an simplest example of me. But there are other people that I absolutely love, adore, that have mentored me, that have shown me the professional way. And some of these people, I'm actually going to show some of their books. So let's kind of get into that, you know? So if you want to subscribe, you can subscribe there. And totally forgot, I have a quiz based on a new book, Built From Now, How to Know Your Power, See Your Abundance, and Nourish the World. It's a free quiz. It'll tell you which of the 4 resources you have the most of, and you can take care of your business that way. Because if you know what resources you have, you can show up more consistently, right? So again, the focus is consistency. All right, the first one is The War of Art. This is classic. If this is not on your bookshelf, digitally or otherwise, then you are missing a lot. It is a tiny book. It's about the size of my own book, Bring Your Worth. Super small. You can read it in the afternoon. I keep it on my shelf. It's actually circulating right now, which is why it's not on my shelf. I should say I don't keep it on my shelf because I use it all the time. I've connected with Steven Pressfield. He was the author of this. He's the real deal. He's done the work. His other books, including Turning Pro, which I've mentioned in other things, other shows. And he has another one called Do the Work, I think it's called. Do the Work. And with that, you know, he's talking about the real deal. The war of art is this. This is the basic concept, again, with respect to Steven. We have something called the resistance. The resistance is why we don't do the work. The resistance is, I'm going to get started on this big project once my kids go away to college. I'm going to go and start trying to attract customers once a venture capitalist, once a magazine does an article about me. Once I get approval from somebody else, then I'll start doing the work. I'll start doing the work when someone asks for my product, but you haven't talked about your product. The resistance is basically those excuses that stop us from building from now, that stop us from creating at this moment. The war of art hits that directly. It's a kick in the behind. I'm trying to keep it PG for y'all. It is a kick in the behind. It is short. It is not sweet. And it will address those things. But again, I know Steven. He did the walk on this. He's talking about it, but he did the walk. He did the work, right? And so because he did the work, he can talk about it from a level of honesty that a lot of folks can't. That's what I'm trying to do, again, with my new book, Built From Now, my previous books. I respect Steven because he put in that work, and it shows in this book. If you go and click on the link, if you're on Amazon, you just click on the link on the side. If you're watching on YouTube or wherever, you can just click the link below, and you'll see like it has like 12,000, literally 12,000 5-star reviews. The book came out like 20 years ago. It is classic. Just go get it. It needs to be on your shelf if you're looking to be a professional, you know? And shout out to the people that are talking about Bob Ross and his happy little trees. I love his trees. Hold on one second. Oh, no. No. Speaking of, sweetheart, I'm actually in the middle of doing my show right now, though.
And all these.
Yeah, it started a while ago. So you have to head back to school. No, now is not the time. I love you, honey. Actually, it'll be done in about 20 minutes.
I'm done. We all do wait for it. We all do every day waiting for 20 minutes.
No, you don't. I don't do the show every day, so that's not true.
I'm not talking about Alex because you say you'll be back in 20 minutes.
Okay, I'll be back in 20 minutes because it's true. All right, I'll see you in 20 minutes, sweetie. Like I said, you know, you build from wherever you're at, and I got 2 little kids. I'm juggling a million different things. Maybe not a million. Let me not exaggerate. And you create from where you are. Built From Now, the book that just came out earlier this year. This was written during quarantine last year in 2020. And I'm really proud of the work. I really appreciate the reception that y'all gave to the work back when it came out on January 28th. I'm still getting good reception about it. But that was done while taking care of my 2 boys, as my wife worked a more traditional job and had to be outside of the house. That's what I mean by the war of art. Coming back to Steven Pressfield's work, that resistance is saying you can't do it right now because you need X, X, and Y. X, Y, and Z. Let's try that again. You need X, Y, and Z. That's probably not true. So what Steven's work tries to do in the war of art, what I try to do in my new book, Built From Now, is to get back down to the brass tacks, the foundation, figure out why you don't feel like you need to succeed, why you need the outside approval, why you need this outside money, why you need this outside entity to tell you that you're ready. You're ready now. Again, word to Bob Ross. If you want more insight into how you can kind of wrestle with this resistance, aside from grabbing Pressfield's book, again, which I highly recommend, check out my curated playlist over at the YouTube channel, or if you're watching the YouTube channel, just click on there. It's Smart Creative Routines. It's 10, 11, might be a dozen now. Really short videos, 5 to 10 minutes long. That will give you insight and game as far as how to build your best creative routines and habits so that the resistance will have less of a chance to stop you in your tracks. All right. Of course, that's a little bit of a joke there. The original book, The Art of War, which of course Steven Pressfield made a wink to with The War of Art. I recommend this book because, to quote Brene Brown, when you come into the professional field, you're entering the arena. My background is journalism. So when I was writing for my parents, when I was really young, I was writing for my parents or my friends or whatever, that was one level. But when I started getting it out to the public who didn't love me, who didn't know me, who didn't care about my work, then that was a different thing. It became more about me marshaling my resources, whatever they were, and putting my best energy into it. The Art of War, classic text, Sun Tzu. I don't even want to lie, but man, I want to say 8 centuries ago. If you guys are in the comments and you know, I forget what year it was written. It was written a long time ago back in China. And it is a classic text about war and strategy. If you're going to become a professional creative, professional artist, professional writer, professional public speaker, anything in those so-called creative fields, you need to be strategic with it. I am an independent. This is my book imprint. It starts and ends with me. There's no VC backing, nothing. Like, this book came out. So any press I got related to it, the editors that I worked with, the cover designer, shout out to Beck Loss, the person who did the picture on my back, shout out to Alex Goetz. You can go and check out the link if you grab the book. You know, shout out to all of them, as well as to Jeanette who edited the book. You know, that's all based on my own volition. But it's not like I have a huge amount of capital, and I'm not Penguin Books, but I'm still putting these books out there. You need to get strategic if you're going to become a professional, because you're only going to have so many resources. Again, flipping back to Built From Now, you only have so many resources. So you need to master the resources that you have. Looking at what you don't have will only stop you in your tracks. Again, back to Steven Pressfield and The War of Art. This Art of War is fantastic. I have like 3 or 4 copies of the physical book. This audiobook that I have the link to, again, you can click it on Amazon, is actually by Aidan Godin. I always screw up his last name. And he was an actor in The Wire. He played Garcetti, I believe is his last name. I love The Wire, but it's been a very long time. He played Mayor Garcetti, or wannabe Mayor Garcetti, in The Wire. And he also played, if you're familiar with that, you know he played one of the major characters in Game of Thrones. His voice acting is incredible, impeccable. I can listen to it all day. Grab this version. Grab the book if you want the book, but if you do the audiobook, get this version. It is spectacular. If you're going to go ahead and think of things more strategically, you have to understand your why, your longer vision. A recent video I did that has gotten a lot of good feedback is about finding more meaning in your life. That means you have to get out of the day-to-day ruckus and rumbles and challenges, even being in the arena, again, as Brene would say, and more think about long-term. What are you trying to do? I know, and this video gets into that. I know with Build From Now, it was difficult to write the book. Actually, writing the book was easy. Finding the time, the energy, the resources that I talk about, ironically, in the book was very difficult. But I had to think about what are people meaning my community, meaning you, going to need in 2021. And with the time it takes to write a book, and you have to get it out to the press, and you have to get it to you have to get reviews done, and then you have to get it to the printer and all this other stuff, all this inside baseball. I knew that I had to complete the book by around the fall of last year. So that's what I did. If I was caught up in how hard it was, I wouldn't have done it. So sometimes you end up thinking too hard about things and you need to pull back a little bit. This video gets into that practice. And again, there's a little comment section in the YouTube video where you'll see some of the discussions that we were having about it. So I'm really proud of the video, not because of the video itself or the work that was done, but more about the conversations that are stemming from it, both online and offline. All right. So another book I would recommend is The Passive Writer. And as you can probably tell, it's actually done by me. It's myself and my editor and good friend, Jeanette. And we ended up doing a book called The Passive Writer, super short. It's based on ended up being a standing room only talk that we did, I want to say in 2018 at the American Society of Journalists and Authors Conference. Shout out to ASJA. I used to be on the board of them. And I used to be on their board, not on the board of them. I don't know what that means. I used to be on their board. I'm on the board of ASJA and I can't talk today. But it's about how you can create passive income as a writer, but it applies to any other types of creatives. Here's the thing. If you're a solopreneur like I am, like I said, I'm an individual, so I don't have a team. I don't have this big group of people. That's actually by design. Shout out to Paul Jarvis with his book, Company of One, where he talks about how people do that as design. Another good book I would recommend. If I'm the only one that's working, what happens when my sinuses are bothering me? What happens when my kids need something, like really need something, not just for me to read a book, but like really need something? What happens when I want to take a vacation? What happens when I need to take a vacation, right? What happens if a family member needs? What happens if I just need a break? What happens if I'm working on the next book? I need to get away from that. Everything stops, correct? That is such a problem for us as independents, as freelancers. Again, I've coached hundreds of us, and that's a common problem. It's like, Damon, how do I stop? This book was the answer to that. It's saying, okay, you stop by creating passive income. You stop by creating systems. You need something that will feed you even when you're not working. As someone said, I think it was on the Earn Your Leisure podcast, shout out to them. They said people are always trading time for money. In other words, you work for an hour and you get money for that. But that means if you don't work for an hour, you don't get any money. It's a very black and white view of things that we've had. Man, at least here in America, we've had that for a century, right? Since the industrial age, century and a half. And so what I'm trying to get all of us to get to is to the point where we have royalties. I have 4 so about 48 different passive income streams. This one book, for instance, we have this in paperback, we have it in Kindle form or digital form, and we're doing some other formats too. But just those 2 formats that we have available right now, that's passive income. So if y'all buy the book right now, that's money that's split between myself and my co-author, Jeanette. That's happening whether I'm talking to you or not. You hear about the book, you buy it, we get a royalty check. Sometimes it's directly to me, sometimes it's through some of the distributors. But either way, the check's gonna come in a week or in a couple months. So if I decide to take a vacation later on this summer, or Jeanette decides to take a break, with her kid later on this year, those checks are still coming. So that requires building systems. We talk about that, again, in The Passive Writer, and thanks for all the shout outs and all support that y'all have given the book over the last few years. And I talk about systems specifically in Build From Now, the new book. But this is the one where, again, it's short, it's simple. You can read it like in an afternoon, and people have really dug it. And again, we did a talk. The talk was so popular that we ended up deciding to do a book about it. So So you guys, it really resonated with a lot of the creatives out there who are looking to a solution, especially post-COVID, or as we're kind of towards late COVID, as we say, as we're starting to say, or late pandemic. We're coming out of this and realizing how hard we were working before. Maybe there's a different system or framework you need to have. So food for thought, that's a book I'd recommend. I have another playlist that, again, 12 or so videos, all 5-10 minutes long, talking about this whole thing. If you watch the whole thing, man, you can watch the whole thing in like an hour, maybe, something like that. Maybe just over an hour, or just watch one of the videos. They're like 5 minutes long. And I think that you'd appreciate it because that will help you build the systems that you need, again, to build from now. I wrote Build From Now, again, the new book. I wrote Build From Now last year. This one book ended up creating at least 5 passive income streams for me. And I can get into those details, but I want to respect the time because I want to keep it at a half an hour. But I talk about some of that in this playlist. But my work last year, and it was hard work, turned into revenue this year, and the book's already done. Like, I don't have to do anything more of that. And so while I'm talking with y'all, while I'm playing with my kids, while I'm sleeping, literally, then the checks are coming in. That's part of being a professional. Being a professional is not allowing yourself to burn out. What you do is you create systems so that you can stave the burnout. Now, I'm talking from experience. I've been burnt out before. I've been really close in previous years too. So it's not even from a place of judgment. It's more like I know how susceptible we are to burnout when we become professionals. Because there's outside deadlines, there's money concerns and so forth. With all that stuff, you need to have systems in place, and financials is one of them, so that you can actually take care of yourself the right way. All right, I'll get off my soapbox on that because that could be the rest of the show, but I'm going to relax. All right, so the next book I recommend is The Creative Leap, or The Creativity Leap. I always screw up the name of it. My apologies, because I actually know Natalie Nixon. We got a chance to connect earlier this year, at least on socials. Hi, Natalie. I hope you're doing wonderful. Her book is fantastic. In fact, I think I promise I did not plan this. It's right here. There you go. I forgot to put it down, but I'm usually reading it. And it's actually my wife's copy. So I actually heard about the book from my wife. So shout out to her. But The Creativity Leap. Why this is a good book. And it's got a ton of awards. Just came out last year. So again, congrats to Natalie. Why it's important is because she talks about 2 different processes. She talks about wonder and rigor. Wonder is that vision. Wow, I want to do this particular thing. I wonder what it'd be like if I did this startup. You know what? I have a book idea. I wonder if I could do this book. Literally saying wonder. I wonder if I can do a TV program 3 times a week, right? That's wonder. That's cool. That's the so-called creativity, in the mainstream traditional sense, which is cool, which is so important. You can call it vision boarding. You can call it a broader strategy, whatever you want to call it. But then she also talks about something called rigor. Rigor is really where it happens. That's the work. All right, I'm going to do a YouTube show. I've never been on YouTube before, by the way. So the show that I'm talking to y'all on right now, never done that before, even though I've been on YouTube for a minute, but I've never had an official show. So back in December when I decided to do the show, the wonder was like, I wonder if I could do a show because I like to connect with people because I'm not doing keynotes. I'm used to going to TED. I'm used to going to the ASJ conference, like I talked about earlier. I'm used to being on the road. I'm totally a road warrior. I can't do that because we're sheltering in place and I want to respect the rules. So it's like, so what else can I do to connect with people? I can do a show and it'll be based on the Bring Your Worth idea. It'll be based on Build From Now, the new book coming out in January. I was saying this last year. That's the wonder. That's exciting, right? You see me moving my shoulders and stuff. But then the rigor is, all right, so what equipment do I need? You see, I got the lights because they're reflecting my stuff. So what equipment do I need? What software do I need? How will it be formatted? Is there really an audience for it? Who cares? Is this something I should do? She talks about this in depth. Actually, quote her book, and you can see there's a couple of dog ears in there. But I quote her book in Build From Now a little bit. So if you grab Build From Now, you'll see some quotes from her. But the original source is excellent, so I highly recommend that. Again, my new book, Build From Now, you can listen to an audio snippet of it right now. It's like 2-3 minutes. Listen to that. grab the audiobook. The audiobook is not that expensive. And I've actually made it on all the platforms. So it's people I was talking to just this week who actually have gone to the different platforms like Scribner and other ones and actually rented my book, including Build From Now, that audiobook. So even if you're part of a program and all that stuff, and it's an all-you-can-eat buffet thing, check it out. Build From Now is almost definitely on there. I made sure it's on all the platforms. So check out the book, and you'll learn a little bit more about that. The last one, which I wish I had a physical copy, but I got it on Kindle, is The Practice by Seth Godin. As some of y'all know, I actually worked under Seth Godin. He was a mentor of mine through the Kimbo workshop. You can learn more about that at kimbo.com. I love his work. I love his work even before I got a chance to connect with him online. This is his most recent book, and it has a similar theme to his previous books. You can't worry about success. And success could mean money, that could mean a bestseller, that could mean whatever metrics you want to grab. You can't worry about that. You can want that. I want a bestseller. I've had a few. I want another one. You're never going to have enough bestsellers. Let me just put that out there. You know, I've made money on books. I like to make a lot more money on books. That's cool. I made money as a coach. Like to make a lot more money as a coach, etc. We keep going and going and going. You can learn more about me at DamonBrown.net with the work that I do. That long list of things. That doesn't matter, though. The desire is fine, but you have to focus on the practice. The practice is me talking to you for a half an hour every single Wednesday for the past 6-7 months. Practice is Simone Biles doing her, I can't even pronounce the stuff that I think it's just called the Biles, the things that she's recently been doing and getting those gold medals. The practice is her doing that even during quarantine, coming out of quarantine and being ready for that. That's the practice. That's what Seth Godin is talking about, right? If you're going to be a pro artist, a pro creator, an independent like myself who wants to make a living at this, or at least make a partial living if you're a side hustler, it has to be about the practice of it. I've done 4 TED Talks. You can check it out at my YouTube channel at youtube.com/BrownDamon. I showed it at the top of the half an hour. And all the TED Talks I do, as if you know TED Talks, are all 15 minutes or less. My first TED Talk was 4 minutes long. I practiced that at least a couple hundred times, just for those 3.5 minutes. So the point isn't to do a TED Talk. The point is to do the practice, and then a TED Talk will take care of itself. The bestsellers that I've had, I think I've had like 3. The bestsellers that I've had weren't because I was writing them and saying, oh, I'm going to make a bestseller. It's because I knew the practice of writing and what y'all needed from me, the most from me, how to serve y'all. And that in itself turned into a bestseller. You know, the Ultimate Bite-Sized Entrepreneur didn't turn into a bestseller because I wanted it to be. It's y'all turned into the bestseller because you knew that I did the practice of making it a good book, right? He talks about that. And again, this is another subject we can talk about for another half an hour. But yeah, get the book. I'll leave it at that. And it's highlighted if you're watching on Amazon. If you want more insight into the practice, this is one of my more popular videos, Why Daily Routines Work for Creatives, Writers, and Entrepreneurs. It's all inclusive, kind of like this thing, where, or kind of like this show, where we have this discussion that might apply to writers, it might apply to ad creatives, it might apply to startup people as far as entrepreneurs, venture capitalists, even on the other side of the table. We all need routines and habits to keep our stuff together, particularly if we're going into fields where there is no structure. We have to create our own structure. That's my discussion with the new book, Build From Now. That's the discussion that Seth is talking about in The Practice. And that's what, in fact, all these books are talking about in some form, is having some type of routine and structure so that you can be a pro. Again, we're talking about how to become a pro artist. My name is Damon Brown. This is every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 11:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. The live ones are on Wednesday. The recorded ones are there. You can subscribe for free here. And until next time, remember that you can always bring your worth and that you can always build from now. Take care.